Utah is the running back U, hands down. There's a couple of schools, but not in the Pac-12 that you could make an argument for. But in the Pac-12, Utah is the running back university. We've had three guys drafted in the last 5 years that are all in the NFL playing football. That speaks volume.
Oh, it completely does. And again, I think Utah, one of the things I love most about the University of Utah is I feel like they kind of go under the radar in a lot of ways. People don't think, I think when people from outside the Pac-12 think of the Pac-12, they think of USC, they think of Oregon, they might think of Stanford and UCLA. I think Utah kind of flies under the radar, but Utah has been one of the top competitors for, the last couple of years, especially the last 2 years. And just a notable statistic that I don't think very many people are aware of, over the past 6 years, the Utah running backs have had a player from the backfield rush for over 1,000 yards each season. Those are coveted yards. That's a tough thing to do at the collegiate level, is to have someone rushing. And so, Sammy, tell us a little bit about some of these guys that have just been absolutely eating up those yards for the Utes.
Yeah, so you start off in the 2015 season with Devontae Booker, fantastic running back for the U. He ended up getting drafted by the Broncos in the 4th round. He is one of just 2 Utah players to ever record back-to-back 1,000-yard rushing seasons. That's insane. He finished 3rd in his career in rushing yards with 2,773, 4th in career carries with 560, and tied for 6th in career rushing touchdowns with 21. And he also set the school record for a career rushing average of 120.6 yards. That is the start of a fantastic lineage of running backs that Utah had. Then that continues on with Joe Williams. The next year, he's drafted by the 49ers in the 4th round. He rushed for 1,884 yards in his time at Utah, 13 touchdowns. Those are good numbers. He had 800-yard rushing games and 19 total career games played. If eight of your 19 games are 100-yard games, that's really good. Utah,
you're winning football. You're probably winning those games.
Yeah, and Utah has established themselves as a run-first school, and this setting these running backs up and giving them these kind of careers and these games to be able to break these records is what sets them out as running back U. Kyle McDonald is a fantastic coach. He is so good with these running backs. He's able to get them going. We always have a good offensive line to help get them moving. Utah has Stanford's probably the closest one you could say that produces the level and the quality running backs in the Pac-12. But it's Utah, because also you can't talk about running backs in Utah without talking about Zach Moss, the all-time leading rusher in school history. 2020, or this year, drafted by the Bills in the 3rd round, he broke 6 records last season alone. That is insane. It's hands down so magnificent what these running backs can do when they go to Utah. And Utah is really good about bringing in good running backs and getting them into the system. Jordan Wilmore is going to be one of the best running backs in Utah football history that's on roster right now. Same with Devin Brumfield. It's hands down Utah. There's no way you could make an argument for anyone else.
Well, it's again that under the radar stuff, and what has made Kyle Whittingham so successful as the head coach of the program is he's able to find these guys who are 3-star recruits. Especially Zach Moss coming in. Sammy, correct me if I'm wrong. 3-star recruit, and turning him into just an absolute beast. A guy that put up crazy numbers and was a steal in the 2020 NFL draft. And, looking at the Pac-12 historically, I'd say, maybe about 10 years ago, Oregon was spitting out some pretty phenomenal running backs. And then Stanford with McCaffrey, that guy is just on another level. But recently, Utah has been the guys that have been producing, the great runners, the running backs that you can count on, that are going to pick up yards, especially over the last few seasons with Zach Moss. I couldn't get enough of him. Potentially my all-time favorite player that has worn the drum and feather, and he is just the product of a great system. And Utah is a running back program.
Yeah, and like I've said, Utah gets these good running backs, these 3-star kids, and put them into this program, and gets them going, and gets them these yards, and gets them in the game, and they get the feel of the game, and they start to produce good plays. And also, Utah's not known for just one type of running back. You have Zach Moss was a very different runner than Devin Brumfield, who was a very different runner than Jordan Wilmore, who is very different than TJ Green. All of the running backs at Utah are different and are known for specific things. So you can't say that Utah is just like a running back factory where you just put in one and it comes out this, like, each running back comes out the same way. They're all different. Because Zach Moss is a human freight train. It takes 3 or 4 guys to take him down. He is so big and so powerful that it's so hard to tackle him. But TJ Green, on the other hand, he's more of a speedster. Like, he's going to be able to get out on the outside and get around. So Utah's not like just producing the same type of back over and over.
Yeah, and something else to point out is the university finds guys that are locked in long term. I think Zach Moss is the best, and we keep touching on him. I'm sorry, guys. I love the guy. He had every opportunity last season to potentially go to the NFL draft, maybe fall a couple rounds. But I believe he still would have made it. But the guy said himself that he had unfinished business. He came back to Utah. He broke the record. He's the all-time rusher. His name, is etched in the history books at Utah, and it helped boost his stock. And he went as high as he did, and he could potentially be, a franchise player for the Bills. You could be seeing a lot of people wearing Moss jerseys here in the next couple of years.
Yeah. And you gotta respect him, because he could have just said, "Okay, I'm gonna forego my senior season and go to the NFL." But he believed in this team, he believed in what they could do, and he came back and he did it. Unfinished business was the senior class's motto for the entire year. And they had that unfinished business. They got a taste of what it was like being in the Pac-12 championship game, and it got crushed by Washington. And yes, it got crushed again by Oregon this last season, but still, they were able to do it back-to-back years. That kid has some dedication and some determination. And also, he was just a great leader. The guys on the team loved him. They respected him. He basically took Jordan Wilmore underneath his wing, if from what I've heard from the team is correct, that he basically was making him a protege to make him the next great running back at Utah. And it's not just about coaching. It's about the guys before you. They're setting these examples. Joe Williams walked away from football and then came back and then laid the hammer down on UCLA in his first game back. These running backs are special at Utah.
Yep, and it's what makes the program so special. And I hope that producing these guys is going to help them continue to find running backs like this. We've had some decent quarterbacks over the years. I mean, I think especially with the last few years in Tyler Huntley, but it seems to me the running back game is always just top notch, and hopefully he'll be able to continue that with the program.